The biggest issues that create the digital divide on the Navajo Nation are funding, infrastructure, data, and spectrum rights.
What's so important about internet access is that we have autonomy over our own stories.
It's not just that indigenous people need internet access, it's that the internet needs indigenous people. They need indigenous ideas and brilliance and art, and that's what's going to make the world a better place.
You're gonna get the coffee.
Where is the coffee? My family has lived in Monument Valley, Utah, really since time immemorial. I was raised here my entire life, and just a lot of our lineage comes from Monument Valley area. Monument Valley is located in the northern corner of the Navajo Nation and the most southeastern part of Utah. I'm 24 years old, and I would say I'm maybe a handful of 20-year-olds right now in the community. Most of our population is well over 40 years old, and so there has definitely been a lot of brain drain in our community. And if you're an artist or if you're an entrepreneur, it's hard for you to find work here without having to create it for yourself. That's just a huge challenge to overcome. When talking with various organizations and community members about what the need is and what would benefit them, the number one response was a community center. A lot of people in my generation are now looking inward and trying to come back home to rebuild our communities. I've always just liked to keep photos that were important to me in my journal. So I have my grandmother, my mother, and then my college graduation photo, which was a milestone in my life. But yeah, I like to just keep it here as a reminder of the women who came before me and the work that they did so that I could be in the position that I'm in today.
This is my mom and my dad. When I was in law school in Tucson, they came down to visit me, and we took just funny photo booth pictures. When I was in law school, I didn't really have a lot of opportunities or time to go see the land that I was learning how to protect. So as soon as I got out of law school, that's all I wanted to do. I hiked the Colorado Trail, and I started doing these big runs because I wanted to get out and see the land that I just felt so connected to. My home site lease is in Monument Valley. The big dream is to build a house out there one day. And the reason that I don't live on it is because it's hard to think about living out there when maybe the healthcare is lacking, when there's no internet connection, when you're not sure about whether or not the water is healthy. Right now, 7 out of 10 homes on rural tribal lands have absolutely no internet connection. So when I got to law school, I really started to ask questions of why is it so different? Why is the Navajo Nation not connected? Even though you can drive 20 minutes west, and that's the Navajo Nation, it's really not far from Farmington, but it is so different. And since we are a border town, you can really see the discrepancy between being in town and being on the nation. And I learned that spectrum is a huge part of the digital divide. Electromagnetic spectrum is what carries the data that creates a wireless connection. So any wireless connection that you use, electromagnetic spectrum is the natural resource that the information rides on to make that work. Spectrum licenses are very, very important in being able to connect people, especially in a rural area. Since spectrum is naturally occurring on the lands, it is a natural resource. So that means that it's encompassed in our treaties. It says that the Navajo can live on this land. This land is for use and occupation of the Diné people as long as the river runs and the grass grows. So that means that you need water. That means that you need sunlight. That means that you need clean air. And I argue that electromagnetic spectrum is also in that bundle of rights. As you're driving from Farmington deeper and deeper into the Navajo Nation, you're going to get less and less signal. So on this drive going up to Canto, we're going to completely lose phone signal. We're not even going to be able to think about getting some sort of data connections.
The biggest challenge when I returned from college was access to internet and computers, because I was trying to work in the community and I was driving to Blanding, Utah to their public library. So that's 70 miles from Monument Valley. I was like doing my work in my vehicle on my laptop for 4 to 5 hours a day, sitting in the heat and would look to my right or to my left and there'd be other vehicles parked next to me doing the exact same thing. You know, I just kept researching and thinking about how can we bring more resources to Monument Valley. I just kind of had that dream come to mind of like, we really need a community center. If we increase the access to internet in our community, I know that we will see so many young people come back home. Yeah, we'll do the same process, have people sign up beforehand, so it's a little bit easier logistically.
So the beauty of Shandiin's community center is that she is creating this hub that's sort of a window to the world. And not only can people see out, but other people can see in and also experience the beauty of the people in that community.
Hey. At the community center, we just had our soft opening last month, and we've already seen over 150 people utilize our spaces, which is absolutely incredible. Sabrina, how are you? Good, we can go ahead and go in here. Ultimately, the goal is to replicate these community centers across the Navajo Nation and Hopi Reservation so that more of our small rural communities have these really vital access points. I think in the long term, 5-10 years down the road, we'll really see how this community center has impacted our youth leaders and our entrepreneurs and small business owners, and how it's really fostered their growth. And this is our classroom. So in here, we are working on hosting more classes more frequently.
Are you guys gonna do digital literacy training?
Yeah, so we're hoping actually next month we'll be doing classes on computer skills, and then hopefully that will roll into just like more literacy in general with connectivity, because that is a question we get a lot from our visitors. It's just really a movement that's happening with our youth and our communities who are slowly rebuilding back to the beautiful, vibrant communities we once were.
So I'm gonna do a speed test off of the hotspot first. This major carrier that is giving you the hotspot access, they own the spectrum. So my work with spectrum sovereignty argues that the tribe should own that spectrum so that they can be the ones to like give you hotspots and like set up that infrastructure in order to provide service.
How far off do you think we are to actually, making that a reality where Navajo Nation would actually own rights to spectrum?
There are like little crumbs and like little dribbles that come policy-wise, but I think that Native nations really need to just stand up and say, this is our natural resource and we have the ability to connect our people who need it, who are using it for purposes like this. And so like, this is our spectrum and you're not allowed to auction it off, and just tell the FCC, like, we're taking our spectrum back.
When you look at tribal communities like the Navajo Nation, unfortunately, in a lot of spaces, we aren't in control of our own narrative, right? So what someone may learn about our community doesn't come from us directly. I think what's so important and really special about the potential of internet access is that we have autonomy over our own stories and the narrative of our community.
The Navajo are magic. The Diné are so wise and funny and brilliant. You really just have to see it and experience it.
They get stronger from each other because, like Darrah, she's already been through law school, and Shandiin's just getting ready to go. So she's a mentor to her. And, she looks up to her as a big sister also.
Shandiin, she's always been a go-getter. We just try really hard to keep up with her.
This worldview of togetherness, that you're connected to everything. And that is just such a beautiful lens to have of the world. And for us to have a way to share that knowledge with the world is so important.